I'm going to go on a bit of a rant. Okay. So this morning, I was tagged in a video about this couple that has a German Shepherd, and they have a newborn baby. And in their home cam video footage, it was shown that as the mother was passing the baby to the father, the German Shepherd got up from a down on the ground and kind of lunged at the baby. Then they showed a second video where the baby was in one of those like bouncy seats on the ground, and the father went to go pick up the baby. And again, the shepherd from a bit of a distance rushed over towards the child. And the couple, of course they yell at their dog and no, go away, and they can't believe their dog's doing this. And they're very concerned that their German Shepherd is attacking their baby. And so they're asking for some advice or assistance of like, how do we handle this? So good for them for asking and good for them for seeking help. And I want to talk about how and why this is happening. Because for a lot of people, this comes out of nowhere. It's a surprise, it's a shock. They can't believe their sweet, loving dog would behave like this. And it's obviously very concerning that the dog isn't accepting the newborn baby. Some of the things they said is it seems like maybe he doesn't know it's a human. They think maybe the dog thinks it's a toy. And so I want to discuss this conversation for others to understand the nature of a dog, relationship dynamics, and to help those who may be in a similar situation or prevent a situation from happening. So first things first is based on the experience I have, I'm going to make some assumptions. Obviously, there can be some exceptions to the rule, but from the type of behavior I'm seeing and what I've experienced in the past with past clients with similar situations would be this German Shepherd was very likely the center of attention, given free rein around the house prior to the baby being born, gets a lot of attention and affection just because that's their baby until the baby is born. So this dog, prior to baby coming home, was it. And now that the baby's home, that's a huge life transition. So there's stress because mom and dad are having some sleepless nights. They're exhausted. They're trying to raise this infant. Their attention is no longer just on the dog. The routine is thrown off. So things that were ritualistic are no longer ritualistic, and many dogs really appreciate and rely on routine and rituals. So all that's being changed where this dog is no longer the center of attention. The owners are no longer connecting with it in the way they used to because their focus is now on the baby. This is all normal, common, and to be expected. From the dog's perspective, because it used to be the center of the world, there was built into its character an expectation of entitlement. I'm entitled to your attention. I'm entitled to your personal space. I'm entitled to do what I want when I want. I'm entitled to be pushy and demanding if you're not giving me what I want. I'm entitled to control the environment because that's what I've been doing. And so now that the baby's involved and the risk is much higher, the humans are disagreeing with these more subtle behaviors because they're not so subtle anymore and they're more hazardous. So from the human's perspective, because they didn't see the dog's prior mindset or behaviors as an issue, like maybe it was demanding, it would demand for playtime. And if they said no, it would push for more, and then they'd be like, hey, I'll throw the ball just once, right? So you just taught the dog to demand and be pushy and control the space, control the game, control the dynamic. The dog is in the leadership position. Maybe the dog is patrolling the house, thinks it's in charge of the house. If you're giving away free affection all the time, allowing the dog in your personal space, cuddling with the dog on the couch, just including it in everything and not asking for respect of your personal body and space, in the dog's mind, they are entitled to be in possession of your personal space. So we see this dog to dog, dog to human, and even when it's human to human and the dog gets involved. When your dog believes that they are entitled to your personal space, that you are a resource to be guarded, because you are a valuable resource to your dog. You provide food, attention, shelter, affection, all of those things. Access to activities, whatnot. So you are valuable to your dog. And the way your dog as a predatory species sees that dynamic, that relationship dynamic, is a little bit more about who's in control, especially a German Shepherd, a herding breed. They are about paying attention to movement, controlling it, and changes in the environment. They're very sensitive to transitions and change. Like we were sitting and now we're standing. That's a transition. Baby was in your arms, now baby is being passed. That's a transition. Those are the moments where, as a herding breed, we're watching the flock of sheep and one starts to deviate. I'm supposed to take action and control that and address it. So instinctually, this dog is following their impulses based on what they think is correct. So you pair the instinct with the relationship dynamic of the dog believing they're entitled to control the environment and to control you and manipulate and negotiate you with you, you get this type of an outcome. And so the owners didn't understand that before the baby showed up. Now the baby showed up and they're like, whoa, this is coming out of nowhere. When actually the mindset was already there, it just wasn't showing up in a way that they felt like was a problem. So now that it is, they're wondering how to address it. At the root of all of this, this comes down to two things: when and how you're giving affection, and respect of your personal space. If you reserve your affection and attention for purposeful moments, when your dog is in a healthy mindset, when your dog is doing something for you or with you that you ask for, like walking nicely with you, sitting when you asked, go lay on your place, back off, give me space, then I'll give you affection and attention. You get what you pet. If you're petting your dog when they're in an overexcited mindset or a pushy mindset, you're going to get more of that behavior because you're affirming that. You're allowing that in. So be really intentional with when and how you're giving affection, and then also with the respect of personal space for a human. It's very different. We like to cuddle, we like to hug, we like to touch. As a species, that's more in line with who we are. Dogs are different. They don't go around with each other, petting each other. They will do things with each other. Let's go sniff something. Let's go run around. Let's rest together. Let's migrate together. Let's hunt together. There may be some grooming involved. But that's kind of the extent of the physical touch. They're not a very handsy species. So when they do invade the space of another dog or being, that's a very intimate space. It can also be a challenge for who's in charge. While it can be affection, you can't remove it from the fact that it's also invasion of personal space, which is that who's in control aspect. So because we're different, we do things that we think are innocuous, but it's perceived very different from the dog. So me allowing a dog all up in my space and affirming that with my attention is telling the dog, not only are you entitled to my personal space, but you can control me. I am now your possession. So when I have another person come up and hug me, that person is now taking over my space, and the dog is disagreeing with that, saying, no, she's mine. So they move in and they try to crowd that other person out, or some dogs will even growl, nip, or bite. So we have, in this home situation, the dog feeling like the humans belong to me. Now this little baby human comes into play and they're constantly holding it. So this baby is invading their personal space, and the dog is disagreeing with this because the dog doesn't like that. So we have the relationship aspect of who's entitled to their personal space. And he's going, those are my humans. So I'm not stoked that this baby has come into this house and taken over their attention, their personal space, all of that, the affection. And so then we have the herding instinct of being sensitive to transitions and movement and wanting to control. So transitioning that baby from one person to another, that dog is wanting to handle it, disagree with it, control and manipulate the situation. So ultimately what these people need to do is reserve their affection for appropriate moments when he's in the right mindset and behaving appropriately, and demanding of him respect of personal space. backing him out. You're not allowed in my personal bubble. If you are, it's because I have specifically asked you to, and it's for a specific purpose. So this dog needs to learn to respect the proximity of every human, including that baby, and not be allowed to just come up and check things out. They need to be held at bay. So what that would look like if I were to have that dog in my home would be every time they start heading in my direction, I'm going to catch it earlier on and go, ask them to stay back. And if they don't listen and they continue to move in, I would get up, back them up. Teach them, just stay at a distance. You can do a combination of structured training like place or crate or tether the dog, where it's like, hey, I'm limiting you to these spaces. Then you can do what's called free-form work, where the dog doesn't have to be told what to do. You don't have to stay on place. You don't have to stay in your crate. I'm not tying you up to something. You can move about the house, but the only rule is stay 6 to 8 feet away. That's it. So that in and of itself is going to be a whole world change for this dog, who is used to being entitled and taking space whenever he feels like it. But I guarantee you, teaching him to respect personal space is going to be a huge part of resolving that issue, and it's going to set them up for success as this child develops into a toddler, starts crawling around on the floor, and then into a little kid that can toddle around and run around. As this child develops, this dog needs to learn first to have a healthy respect for that being, and then second, that will open the door for a friendship and a relationship to evolve where they can bond and connect. A lot of people try to bond the dog and the kid really quickly up front. Let the dog sniff the baby, let the dog be with the baby, and it's like, no. Respect first, then relationship comes after that. So these are just some thoughts that I wanted to share after seeing that post this morning, and I thought maybe it would be a valuable conversation for others to hear. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them and let me know. I'd be happy to continue this dialogue, and let me know what your takeaway was from this. So, hope you have a great day.